plani kuleta mfuti kuti batenge ziko through militias muzagomera kuti bazipa abantu afu nongena muboma using militias. I want to thank our security forces who have protected you from the schemes these people were doing.
For the part. All right? And when they push us to an extent where we should disclose what we've been doing all these years, it's serious business they want us to do.
That sounds very dangerous. We've got special forces.
Special political forces. I'm not a joker. I can tell you that for sure. And the church knows.
Which means you do illegal things on behalf of the party.
No. We do.
For you not to be able to say publicly.
Special operations.
Why not special duties? Because special forces.
Yes, special forces, paratroopers.
Okay.
We fly by night. Do you know what a paratrooper does? Let me tell you.
Clandestine maneuvers.
Clandestine specialists. That's what we are. And in the UPND, they are there. And I rank among the best in there. I can tell you. And the HH knows me. So we execute functions. And we shouldn't be pushed to start disclosing what we have been doing.
Can we assume that this court process is also one of those clandestine?
No. That shows ability. And
special forces.
It just shows our ability.
Somebody else has sent you because you're part of the special forces.
Listen, HH will be the first one to tell you that that one cannot be bought. He knows it. He knows me very well. I've been on this platform for a very long time. And no one in the opposition, I can challenge anyone in this country to say, oh, I'm a long ways on my payroll. Me. HH knows me better. And he knows that this game is up. Because Charles doesn't move by money. I don't move by that. We move by purpose. And there's a task here. And this is a national task. And I've made clear to my friends, guys, I'm not shifting. I will not be part of those who push illegalities. I stepped out.
So what is your ultimate goal and gain in all this? What?
First, as a ruling party, order. Order is what I want. Lawlessness should end. Listen, Costa, you remember the Bill 7 process which we went through? There was an accusation that, there was a court process which said the process leading up to that broke the spirit of the Constitution. What we are breaching now is the letter of the Constitution. If you understand the two, you will see the gravity of what we are doing. That was just merely a spirit, which is just like an intent you have to decipher. This is actual letter, and I will not be among the people who watch my fellow. I don't care. President Hakainde Hichilema, I've called him out. I said, sir, you are wrong, and I will not support this. I'm not budging. I will not be part of illegalities. Whether this is an election year, I will not participate.
So in
many of us in this region proud that you still have a judiciary and armed members of the judiciary that are able to do what is right for their people. We must be proud of that. We understand they went through temptations, a lot of temptations, and they withstood these temptations. Money, other things we hear were thrown at them. But they understood why they're on the Constitutional Court. Because judiciary, the courts must be the place of last recourse where we go to seek justice. Injustices are done every day in our elections. We know it here in Zambia. 2015, 2016, we know it. But in 2016, our matter was not even heard. Yet the Bill of Rights is clear, and if a citizen is aggrieved about anything, they have a right to go to court. And any court of competent jurisdiction has an obligation to hear them. It didn't happen in this country. It has happened in Malawi. We're so proud of that Malawi Constitutional Court bench. I hope we can all learn something from that ruling, that you cannot continue cheating the people, the very people that gave you an opportunity to save them, especially in those roles. So congratulations to the opposition in Malawi, and one other thing we learned from Malawi is that they came together. The opposition came together. Here we have some oppositions that are surrogates of the ruling party who are used to abuse fellow opposition. But there, Dr. Chakwera, Dr. Silas Chidima, and others came together for a joint petition to save the people of Malawi. It's another lesson that we Zambians must learn. But more important, it's a Malawian citizen, the Malawian voter, who did not allow their vote to be manipulated. When their vote was manipulated, they showed it. They went in the streets to express their displeasure on how somebody had stolen their votes. They did it for months on end. It encouraged the judiciary. So you can see the point here. The battle, the fight must be fought from different angles. And the citizens have...
We need to take the approach of dialogue and reconciliation so that we're able to benefit from the outcome of national reconciliation and unity. The fact that somebody ultimately was declared the winner, and that is President Hakainde Hichilema, by a legitimate and a mandatory body, that is ECZ, makes it very complicated for any of us to begin to fight that. In as much as it is desirable to go through the courts, we must know that once you begin to petition, you are not bringing political healing. Once you begin to go through the courts, you are using political confrontation. And when you take that path, and if you don't succeed, you cannot go back to the same parties or to the winner to negotiate for dialogue, reconciliation, or peace.
Many of us in this region proud that you still have a judiciary and armed members of the judiciary that are able to do what is right for their people. We must be proud of that. We understand they went through temptations, a lot of temptations, and they withstood these temptations. Money, other things we hear were thrown at them. But they understood why they're on the Constitutional Court. Because the judiciary, the courts must be the place of last recourse, where we go to seek justice. Injustices are done every day in our elections. We know it here in Zambia. 2015, 2016, we know it. But in 2016, our matter was not even heard. Yet the Bill of Rights is clear, and if a citizen is aggrieved about anything, they have a right to go to court. And any court of competent jurisdiction has an obligation to hear them. It didn't happen in this country. It has happened in Malawi. We're so proud of that Malawi Constitutional Court bench. And I hope we can all learn something from that ruling, that you cannot continue cheating the people, the very people that gave you an opportunity to save them, especially in those roles. So congratulations to the opposition in Malawi, and one other thing we learned from Malawi is that they came together. The opposition came together. Here we have some oppositions that are surrogates of the ruling party who are used to abuse fellow opposition. But there, Dr. Chakwera, Dr. Silas Chidima, and others came together for a joint petition to save the people of Malawi. It's another lesson that we Zambians must learn. But more important, it's a Malawian citizen, the Malawian voter, who did not allow their vote to be manipulated. When their vote was manipulated, they showed it. They went in the streets to express their displeasure on how somebody had stolen their votes. They did it for months on end. It encouraged the judiciary. So you can see the point here. The battle, the fight must be fought from different angles. And the citizens, many of us in this region, proud that you still have a judiciary.
You know, these boys are so down. They thought they were very clever.
They were talking, making noise. Me, I was just quiet. You know, these boys are so down. They thought they were very clever. They were talking, making noise. Me, I was just quiet.
Traders across Ndola district have rejected the presidential election results announced by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, which declared United Party for National Development UPND candidate Hakainde Hichilema the winner of this year's presidential election. Mr. Hichilema, who scooped the polls against 13 other contenders, defeated his closest rival Brian Mundubile of the NRP-UP. The traders have alleged that the presidential election was neither free, fair, nor transparent. Speaking to Sun FM TV News, the traders expressed dissatisfaction with the outcome, arguing that they are still awaiting the announcement of what they described as the rightful winner of the presidential election.
Bantu ife muno mundola nanga kopa belt tuarefu amundubile no mama vote fo ya reisa nefo ya ringiro kuba tefio tefo tuwa vote refiro ko bapendera ama vote so ya ama vote kupenda bafire ba nani kane aba ba ECZ baka weke shepo ya ama vote baka pende wino ubuteko botoreptango talshetekeremo ubuteko debuteko tuarefu aya ubuteko tuarefu aya bwapera mpio
this time wine. I'm a vote Ife turerolera aba Brian Mundubile eba pitire eba kateka turerolera tatu sefeshe no kusefia
ndorora evo to avoteri ama voti yesu ari kwisi bantu takwaba kumpango kwingekala abantu 6000 ukuchira mundora ni bantu amafamu konsoko na ikalai pano paringanda pachuyo sange nganda dukono mbaba abantu bare bafumine kwisi turerolera fe fitakoa ishiba bantu mcharo bari punda presidency.
Good evening and welcome to this broadcast, Zambia. Our appeal always is kindly share the broadcast before we begin. Let's share the broadcast so that we have as many people as possible receiving updates of what's happening to our country. Kindly share the update. Let's share. For you that are on YouTube, please subscribe and also share. Click on that, subscriber button. It helps with our outreach. We are discussing the continued aftermath of the 2026 elections. There are two major things I want to tackle this evening. The call for unity, the call for peace, the call for our national security. There's an assertion that is being put across that not endorsing President Hakainde Hichilema, not congratulating him, is undermining peace and security, and that the action by Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu to petition these results is somehow threatening our peace and our national healing. That is the narrative that is being pervaded. If you listen to ZNBC, if you listen to government officials, if you listen to people that are calling all of us, they want the temperature to come down. They want us to begin promoting unity. But what is unity? For them, unity is that Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu should withdraw that petition. Unity is that Brian Mundubile should concede that he has lost an election, even if he won that election. Their unity is that there should be no petition in the court or in the constitutional court. Now, if you have a peace and unity founded on such a weak, sandy foundation, you have not resolved anything. The people are grieved. It's not Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu, it's the people of Zambia. The people demanding for justice is not Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu. They are just two individuals. It's the people of Zambia. They are a mere bridge and carrier of the message of the people of Zambia in the manner that they voted President Hakainde Hichilema knows that this election is stolen. He knows that he sent the Zambia army into poor centers, into tottling centers. And, you know, they were so crude. In some cases, they didn't even know that some of the observers were lawyers from the Law Association of Zambia. And they roughed and you know, roughed and grabbed Gen 20, the Gen 20s from people like lawyers. They had no idea that lawyers were also observing elections. They had no idea who the monitors had deployed as observers. So the crude action by the Zambia army, the crude action by cadres who trashed the hundreds of thousands of votes, trashing them, throwing in the sewer, on the street, desecrating the will of the people. Those matters require that they are attended to. You cannot attend to them without following the due process. We are a constitutional democracy, and Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu are merely pursuing what the law says. The law says if you are aggrieved, you don't go to the street. If you are aggrieved, you don't go in the bush. If you are aggrieved, take your evidence to the Constitutional Court. Now, if the president is calling for peace, unity, and that the people he calls the boys should concede, why is he preventing that? Why is he arresting everyone around Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu? Why is he drawn up these trumped up charges? You know, peace is a dual traffic. Being a peace and security expert, and I've done it at master's degree level, and I was privileged to be an ambassador for 8 years. Peace is a two-way process. Sometimes incumbent presidents are forced to sit with rebels. If you look at the rebels they are forced to sit with, you know, you look at where peace initiatives are done across the world. So there is a responsibility by the president. There are things he should do. He can't just place a burden and pressure on Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu. Why are they holed up at the United Nations building? Why is he pressuring the United Nations to release Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu to the arms, the oppressive arms of the police? Why is he arresting everyone? And if you look at the number of people that are arrested, people from corporate institutions, lawyers, you know, administrators, come on. Peace is a two-way process. Peace, although mchoma tulanda tumikala patalala mwina patalalika, kuti nawe mwine na wikala na patalala, but they storm your house and they steal your goods. How will that peace stand? So while the president and his people around him have put pressure on Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu that they should concede defeat and allow President Hakainde Hichilema to take the 5-year term, is that there are things he needs to do himself. The United Nations Human Rights Council has told him to immediately stop the arbitrary arrest. He has instead scaled them up. Amnesty International has told him to stop the arbitrary arrest. He has scaled them up. Who has not told him to stop? He has scaled them up. We have the matter that remains unresolved. This is a matter of Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya. This morning I made a plea that, and I challenged the Secretary to Cabinet, Mr. Patrick Kangwa. I said, you confirmed the death of Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya. When did you confirm? Have you been to the house of mourning? Have you been there? And you know that there are constitutional and administrative obligations that you as Secretary to Cabinet has. I called him out. Have you helped? Because the feeding, the welfare, you have to coordinate with Zambia Army or ZNS to bring tents, secure the place. You have to bring security. Your ZNS will take over the kitchen. Mtoto Kafwaya has been killed in a crude manner by the Zambia Army. Mtoto Kafwaya has been killed and is an opposition leader. In many cases, the family will be extremely hostile against you because you represent the face of the president and his government and the army that has killed him. But this is where you need your both administrative and diplomatic skills. You get people that can speak to the family because you have an obligation to do. He is former minister. Even if the family rejects you, even if the brothers or the widow rejects you, you have a duty to still go there. Because ule losha tabamchira kanwa na bakalipa, they've just lost in a very, very cruel manner the breadwinner, father, husband, brother, nephew. They've lost mtoto Kafwaya. You cannot stand. This is why we tell the civil servants not to be political. Because imagine if people like Tabo Kawana, Mambo Hamaundu, and Dixon Matembo were professionals. They would have been the ones going to the funeral. But if they turned up, they'll be lynched. When we say the civil service must be professional, this is what we mean. Because then they become a genuine bridge between the president and his administration and other stakeholders. But when you are highly politicized, if Tabo Kawana turned up at the funeral, you'll be lynched because of the extent of the mockery that he put the family during this period. When we say the civil service must be professional, this is what we mean. There comes a time like this, you need neutral voices to speak to Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu, neutral voice to speak to Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya, and you find none, because especially for this presidency, he has politicized all institutions. Chiefs, our kings and chiefs are supposed to be neutral arbiters in things like this. Nana beta bakanabesa ukuno kubakanabesa landeni konavena nabana beno nabakalipata my elections tayaendele bwino landeni konabana beno. But the chiefs have been in the forefront of endorsing the president. They've lost a neutral role in a crisis like this. Elder statesmen like Vice President Enoch Kavindele, Wamayo wa winner, Inonge Mutukwa winner, she's been exemplary, totally a true stateswoman. But active people like Nevas Mumba, look how they've desecrated that office of the former president. He's on an allowance, he's been given a government car, but he's MMD president. He doesn't relinquish that. Yet the law requires that you can't get both. It's a reason that the benefits were taken away from President Edgar Lungu because he joined partisan politics. What about a lesser office like that of vice president? But Nevas Mumba, and he can be a neutral arbiter. He's misconducted himself gravely during this process, issuing inflammatory statements, telling lies, mocking people. Look at his statement against Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu in Chinsali. Look at that. And so he's useless. He can be used in a national crisis like this. And we understand that, and I'm yet to speak to, the pastor, the bishop to the late Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya. Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya was an elder at his church. And Nevas Mumba called, saying, no, tell them Brian Mundubile should concede. Iwe, of Makwi. Now, have you seen that I've lost my elder? Are you compassionate? Are you African? You can't even pretend face to rande kupafia chidilo. Brian Mundubile and Makebi should concede. So those are useless envoys, Mr. President. In case you or any of your people are listening, do not use useless envoys. They are just inflaming the situation. And the elders of our country have been so politicized that in a space like this, they are nowhere. No one side can trust them. And we always cry, then who will save our country? So the call for unity is a blessed call. The call for peace is a blessed call. The call for us to maintain who we are is a blessed call. But there are things that need to be done. An injustice, a grave injustice has been done against the Constitution of Zambia and against our people. A smooth elections Someone was saying every election has issues. There's no elections without irregularities. No, these are not your ordinary irregularities. You deploy the soldiers against all international protocols. I'll give you the protocol at the African Union that I was participating in. That forbids the army from coming anywhere near the polling station or totaling center or any poll center. I've quoted it several times here. In fact, that quote even goes further. If we are dealing with a nation that is coming from a coup d'etat or unconstitutional change of office, all those that participated in that government are never allowed to participate in that election. We bar them at the African Union. So, and Zambia is a signatory to the charter, the African Charter on Elections, Governance, and and politics. That charter, Zambian government has signed to it. So what happened with the president deploying his special forces to disrupt processes across the country, electoral process? That's an injury on our democracy. There's a side issue that someone wants me to speak about. Just watch these two videos. Brown Kasaro, with impunity. Brown Kasaro is ECZ Chief Electoral Officer. He is reassigning, is redeclaring, is giving the UPND seats across the country. Look at these three examples.
I, Tuba Anton, being the returning officer for Mazadua Ward, Chipangari District, do hereby declare that I have, in accordance with the law, ascertained the results of the poll in the said ward, and that they have been given to Mwanza Fallon, Independent, 187 votes, Piri Joseph of UPND, 439 votes, Mwale Laki, Independent, 540 votes. I therefore declare that a total of 18 ballot papers have been rejected as invalid, and that a total of 1,184 votes were cast. I therefore declare the said Mwale Laki to be this day duly elected as member of the Chipangari Council for Mazatua Ward. Super Anton, being the returning officer for Mazatua Ward, Chipangari District, do hereby declare that I have, in accordance with the law,
I'm in receipt of a letter from the Electoral Commission of Zambia to do with the correction of declaration of results of local government election under Chuluwongo Ward. The letter is from the Electoral Commission of Zambia, dated 21st August 2026, to town clerks and council secretaries. I'm singling out the council, which is Chipiri in Luapula Province, Republic of Zambia. Brief correction of declarations made by returning officers. Reference is made to the subject above. The Commission received requests for the correction of declarations made by returning officers that resulted from mistakes committed by an electoral officer in the tabulation of results. The Commission sat to consider to you. I'm in receipt of a letter from the Electoral Commission of Zambia to do with the correction of declaration of results of local government election under Chuluwongo Ward. The letter is from the Electoral Commission of Zambia, dated 21st August 2026, to town clerks and council secretaries. I'm singling out the council, which is Chipiri in Luapula province, Republic of Zambia. Brief correction of declarations made by returning officers. Reference is made to the subject above. The Commission received requests for the correction of declarations made by returning officers that resulted from mistakes committed by an electoral officer in the tabulation of results. The Commission sought to consider the requests in accordance with Section 76 of the Electoral Process Act number 35 of 2016, which states that the Commission may correct a mistake committed by an electoral officer in the tabulation of results within 7 days after the declaration of results. Therefore, the Commission resolved to authorize the returning officers to make corrections on the declarations as follows. Chipiri District, Churuluongo Ward.
So, Brown Kasaro is quoting the Electoral Process Act of 2016, and he says where there are errors, he can correct where we have demonstrated errors. Kibombwe, Lusaka district had all the results collected, and he demonstrated that he had won elections. So, Kasaro, can you correct that declaration they've given to Chitambala Mwewa? Can you correct it? Because you know the results that they've given are fake. Kibombwe has all the results from all the 7 constituencies, the declarations, and all the documents attended to it. But you've declared Chitambala Mwewa as a winner. Can you do the same? You have imposed in Mandevu. You know that Christopher Shakafuswa didn't win. And can you correct where the soldiers have made these changes across many? Look at the case of Kabwe, where Kabwe, NRPU swept councillors, all the 3 seats and mayor, but you impose and allow another person. Yet the documents are there signed by your own people. You come, you allow the soldiers, and in this case the intelligence, they came at 03. Chishala went live and told us that they are here. They burgled into the area because there was an attempt earlier to change the results, and all the documents proved that NRPU had swept Kabwe. Who have they declared as mayor and winner of those elections? But when it suits you, you are saying no, under Electoral Process Act number 35, if there has been tabulations that are clearly wrong, we can you correct the tabulations that has happened in Southern Province, where turnout was 30%, but the results that Mwangala Zalomis has read are showing that the turnout was 70-80%. You had EU observers there. You had African Union observers in Southern Province. You had the church groupings observers there. There is no place you recorded higher than 50% turnout. So all the results you declared that are showing that 65%, 70%, 80% turnout, can you correct those results? Hence the electoral petition. The evidence is overwhelmingly here. You cannot hide in the call for peace and national security to attempt to bury such injustice that has been done to our election. But now you are doing favors. Nane alus Chile. So your people that were working with the president, if they lost elections, you are doing corrections and they are winning elections. Chabinga lost. You've been trying to do the same. You've even reported the winner, Chabinga in Mafinga, for I don't know for what, but they are pursuing the winner of that election, and they began criminal charges against her. Don't inflame our people. Don't inflame our people. When these results were being read there, people were annoyed, and they're the ones that were taking these videos and sharing them to us. When you apply the law selectively, let us assume that Brown Kasoro has really powers under Electoral Process Act number 35 of 2016 to correct tabulations and redeclare the results, because it's known. Declaration of results is final. There's a famous case of Emmanuel Munaile, former FAS vice president in Malole. He was declared wrongly as a winner. Kaibambila Panshi Ukia Pamulu. So this returning officer, for one reason or another, started from the top and ended up with a loser. And the loser was Emmanuel Munaile. And he was declared the winner. Munaile proceeded to serve 5 years because the election petition was bungled. The petitioner under the previous law couldn't be a lawyer. So the lawyer signed on that petition, and the petition was thrown out. So Munaile benefited from an election he didn't win, and was MP for 5 years in Malole. But the issue the ECZ used there is that when the results are declared, there's nothing we can do. The powers to make amendments against a declarations lies with the High Court that handles election petition. But here, there are results across the country where you are re-declaring fresh results. And all of them have gone to UPND, where the opposition won. Another set of tension has been brewing underneath. And my appeal to the UPND, you are saying that Brian Mundubile should concede. You are saying that Brian Mundubile should allow, not petition. Your UPND are beating our people in townships. People are not sleeping in homes. And your media is not reporting about this. You are hunting our people for merely those that were known in those areas. I've got some campaigners for Honorable Jean Kapata that have gone in hiding. One of them was badly beaten. UPND, why don't you stop the violence? You want Brian Mundubile to say no petition, but look what you are doing. Look at the arrests that you are causing. Everyone is in hiding. Everyone is in hiding. So what kind of peace is this that is one-way traffic? What kind of peace is this? And of course you are saying lies about us, that we are insulting. On this program, have I ever insulted? In fact, most of you are annoyed with me that you are too much a diplomat, because I still address the president in a very respectful manner. Ati yuna mwambala tukana. Shua ndatukana po ine mwantu wa kwalesa. Mma comments, can you comment if I insult on this platform? I do not. I have, even when the matter is so hot. That's why on the other day when I reprimanded Zumanzimba, people were shocked because I was emotionally charged and I told Zumanzimba to stop the treachery, and I used, the emotions were extremely raw. There are those very rare times when you see me lose my cool. But essentially, I address the opposition with a lot of respect. I address the president with a lot of respect. I stick to the issues that must be done. Let's go to the other matter. Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu are still holed up at the United Nations. There is the UN resident coordinator, Beatrice Mutali. Her term was coming to an end. The United Nations and Secretary General said, don't leave, you have an election to handle. Leave shortly after the elections. So she stayed on. She's a Kenyan national. She's been with us for 3 years. Wonderful woman. For all those in diplomatic circles that have met her. The UN resident coordinator coordinates all UN agencies and all UN support to Zambia. She's a lead. When they stormed Brian Mundubile's home, killed Mtoto Kafuaya, beat up everyone, and they picked Brian Mundubile after intense diplomatic maneuvers by all of us. The president ordered that Brian Mundubile must be released. So suddenly Brian Mundubile, who was picked with the other 11, and his family were then dropped at somewhere, Brian Mundubile didn't feel safe. And then remember, then they began this story of militias. Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu had two opportunities to use our ordinary boys as security at their homes. But can they stand what happened that day? And if you gather any grouping, they will accuse them that they are militias. And remember, they've stripped the security of Brian. Brian and Makebi. They started on June 9th in Chipata. They got all his key security staff, the 9, who have been locked up at Mwembeshi, and they've been charged with armed robbery. He recruited the second set of, they were again arrested. Then the last one in Mongo. They were all arrested, 32 of our cadres that were providing security. 32 all rounded up and locked up. So, who was going to provide security to Brian? Waamco security, if you are dealing with BDRMs. BDRMs is those military vehicles, those 6-wheelers that the Zambia Army have, the ones they use to storm his residence. And then you have those we call Fikampiongo. Can any cadre stand against those? Where did you want Brian to be for the safety of his life? They walked to the United Nations, and that's where they sought sanctuary, hoping that President Hakainde Hichilema will cool down and provide leadership. President Hakainde Hichilema has not provided leadership. He has inflamed. He was addressing students and is lying that there's a militia. They are cooking up the story of the militia, a very thing they planted. In my understanding, it was not Brian and Makebi who said these four officials should go to Russia for training. Zumani must answer that question. Why did he choose to send people to Russia, the 4? Why did he seek money from Vauden Finde to pay for those tickets? Today you want to say Brian Mundubile sent militias sent people for training to Russia. And the 3 young officers that came to provide security to Brian, the 3 ex-servicemen, the 3 ex-commandos who they are saying came to train the so-called militia. They were not even Brian Mundubile's idea. The young men formed a company, and I think someone, two weeks ago, someone said they could help because Brian's security infrastructure had been arrested. And they have a track record, those 3 ex-servicemen. They've been providing service to Keith Mwemba and Faz. Keith Mwemba is a lawyer to the president. He's a friend of the president. Probably, Lewis Mosho, Keith Mwemba, and others are even listening to this broadcast because they formed a team that is attending to this electoral petition. Keith Mwemba knows that these ex-servicemen are not criminals. One of them is one of the most decorated commandos in this country, highly respected. In Zambia, here in the United States, members of the special forces, they say they never retire. Nangwali Nainte, they treat them as a weapon. If we throw them on the street, you give them these skills they have experienced for 20 years. Because Vale Lakana Shapwaya, who's very, very insecure as a commando head, he's very, very insecure as the head of he's extremely insecure. He's just harassing people and bringing in tribal elements. He throws these boys on the street. They do what is decent. They don't become armed robbers. They form a security company to provide security from what they know. Today you are criminalizing them that they intended to train militias. Come on. They just want to earn a living. So, who is inflaming the situation? It's the president with these fake malicious stories. And Mr. President, my other advice, there are matters that regard our country. Please get advice from your local people, even from your local advisors. desist from these with peculiar interest. Tony Blair Foundation, his interest is that First Quantum should be in the country, mining our copper and gold, and cobalt, and having concessional rates. That's his interest. He wants First Quantum to have that place, His interest, Tony Blair and his team and First Quantum, their interest is extremely narrow, our national resources. Greg Mills, you know that he's a facilitator of all these. In a national crisis like this, Mr. President, my appeal to you is probably just your aides and probably your trusted pastor, your trusted reverend. Seek, sometimes even just the First Lady. Mwaika lakona banamayo mwaumfa, banamayo eba chula. Ero banamayo eba chula pari fichitika. Sometimes they appear like they know nothing, but they know everything. The people you are receiving advice from, manufacturing militia, this story is going to haunt us, Mr. President, beyond your presidency. We've already been downgraded that there are militias in Zambia. Look at your tourism charts already, just since you began this talk. Look at our peace index, it's falling. While you want to fix Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu, and 10 people that funded these political campaigns as funding terrorism, you are damaging our country almost irreparably. And you know that what the potential to our country is mining, agriculture, and tourism. You know these are the key economic drivers, but you're damaging, especially the tourism part. But Mr. President, that Boyd Kayelu, the executive director, has been giving you bogus intelligence, alarming you, playing to your insecurity, that there are people that have risen against you across the country. There are people that want you taken away, that they rigged these elections, that Brian hired all teachers in Zambia. The 40,000 you employed are under Brian Mundubile, who was writing the Gen 20. Such fake intelligence. But because you are insecure, you have lost an election, you love people like Boyd Kayelu. And he has caused terror. He has caused terror, irreparable terror. Harassing former service chiefs. Harassing judges. Look what they've done to Mama Annie Wastali. The way they stormed her house. Look what they did to Ambassador Martha Lungu. And I've got a list of many, many people that you've picked. Unfounded whatsoever. Because you have your intelligence that's now picking and monitoring from conversation. We already few a land cruiser. Yawa ilem campaign that is funding terrorism. Boyd Kayelu is damaging you, Mr. President. Revert to your institutions, constitutional institutions. And these foreign advisors, let them come back after you've resolved this matter. Having worked with Makebi Zulu and Brian Mundubile, these are patriots. In my view, they can even give you this stolen election. They may not even petition, but it's your actions. Listening to a set of stupid lies from Boyd Kayelu and his grouping. Intelligence they pick from the bar. Intelligence, they like sniffing around from juniors who know nothing. Those are the lies you wish to perpetrate. So, I remember one day while I was at working for President Frederick Chiluba, he shared the fence with the president. So Hakainde was here, same fence. President Frederick Chiluba was here on Several Road, 122B. I think Ichilema's home was 122C. One, if cadres have gone to President Ichilema's house, we were disturbed. If we are holding prayers outside, overnight prayers, we disturbed him. One fence. One day, I was driving in. A GRZ vehicle comes from Hakainde Ichilema's home. And as I was entering the Land Cruiser, it's a friend of mine, a former PS. They give us these vehicles when you retire. And, many would hold GRZ number plate, even for 2 years. So he comes out and he sees me. He says, that time he would call, spokesperson, how are you? No, you know, I was seeing my uncle. But someone is going to alert the system that I was seeing President Hakainde Hichilema with the JRZ vehicle. Can you please explain? You know how these things work. So I remember I picked a call and called one of the seniors and alerted them that he has told me this. And when it appears in your intelligence report, don't accuse him. You are going to fire. Because someone would have reported that a JRZ vehicle went to an opposition leader's home. So they were going to fire controller of government vehicle. They were even going to fire maybe some permanent secretaries. I know how the system works. So Kayelu speaking to juniors and manufacturing these stupid lies are just damaging our country. Mr. President, you need to show leadership. Be the father. In this season, you are the father because you are sitting as president. You are the father because you are the one with instruments of power and instruments of force. You are the father who can make or decide. Vakandile, like Nevas Mumba, who would go on, listen to Uyumfiash Kandilo. Just let me play what he said. I was very on Prime TV just the other day. These are the people you are listening to, Mr. President.
There was nothing, there was no truth in whatever Mundubile was doing. Uya mwene komuni wa NRPU tumone ko balashala na babatesha na chipwa ulio muntu bale mfana ichi no kuomba kala kufe wino obukupofu bwaba. You know, when you do things with confusion, I pass confusion ikakwikanda. Ala pasana ngama kubita kulipono lusenyo ningo and I knew from the word God that mtoto tafwide and I maintained that. Tapa hapa filo muntet petatu no kwati nimbwa ifwile. Mwena imukula dira no kulia mwalite mwafe no kulira. Palipo nefya kulira. Me I knew. Mtoto is not dead. Tetu muntu atinafa. Tamusha no pwafuye na ngwa bakashindemi pusi efya bakashavali na pa nani kani pa mije tuwa mwana chao na vesha tapali fichitike po. Lero balefwati yo babaleke abantu banifya mungu feka awe I group. Me I thank God. The only thing I say is I would rather ilo na fumine kuli mudoro eshiru better na ngena government of the no tukula pala awe na babombele fishi babombele because those are our people. Now it's up to us. PF ni fuego. Not to get aside in Fipuba. It's up to us now. We need to put our house in order, chap. There's Alandu Ramen down from a lot of chief sokolo kafingi. Vala pasananga makuya over Imano Mambana Vala Filo Wikaramu diaspora. And it's up to us now. We need to put our house in order, chap. There's Alandu Ramen down from a lot of chief sokolo kafingi. Yes,
we are dealing with disinformation. So where there's disinformation, we put the truth there. We have seen that the Napupu running mate, Makebi Zuu, has posted that Honorable Mutotwe Kafwai was shot by the army, 2 bullets in the chest, and is now admitted at Mainasoko. We are here at Mainasoko. I am joined by my colleagues, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs, Mr. Machembo is at the far end there. We are also joined by the owner of the facility, the PS for Defense, Mr. Amaundu is here. So Mr. Amaundu, please explain to the people, explain to the Zambians. Is Honorable Kafwaya here? And was Honorable Kafwaya shot by your army?
It's a laughing matter. I think we need to be serious as a people. We need really to move away from fabricating information. I actually came through to Mainasoko upon reading on social media that Honorable Kafwaya was shot and is actually at Mainasoko. And I can confirm to members of the public that that is unfounded. We are at Mainasoko. I've checked the record. I've engaged the management here. At no time in the last 48 hours have they received any patient by the name of Honorable Mtotwe Kafwai. So it's a total fabrication, and which is really
become to be confident in the system that we have put in place. There are so many falsehoods that are being thrown around in our country in order to agitate the Zambian people, for the Zambian people to rise up or create a chaos in our country, Just today, I'm just hearing that there's a rumor going out there that President Mundubile has been arrested. There's no truth to that. And yet some people have taken it as gospel truth in order to agitate the...
My prayer is this. As this case goes to court, I was praying for Brian, myself, and Makebi. I was praying for Brian, myself, and Makebi, especially yesterday when I learned of this thing, because I know these.
Sadly, abantu wale umfira ba president abo. Those are his core team of advisors besides the Bazungus. And you wonder then why we are in this perilous situation. They make us, they blacken us. We are the enemies of the country. You know, yet they are the enemies of the country. They do unorthodox things. They do all sorts of things. For Dr. Nevas Mumba is such a fall from grace. You know, this is a man I respected. They have always told the story here that, you know, when he resigned as vice president, one of the first person, when he was dismissed, he didn't resign as vice president. One of the first person he approached was my office. He called me. And because he wanted to see the former president, Frederick Chiluba. And I drove to his temporary shelter, his house near Zamtel on Hoodlands State House Road, the main Independence Road. There's that house before. I think even Doris there lived there. I don't know whose house that is. But that's where he first went when he was fired as vice president. And I went and met him there. And he wanted to see Dr. Chiluba. You know, all of us born agains respected Dr. Nevas Mumba. Every infraction, we had excuses why. This man has fallen from grace for many years. But you and I, especially who are born again, have always found an excuse to justify his poor and misconduct that he does. Because he's a man we revered. You know, he's like your father. So I went to see him, and he wanted to see President Frederick Chiluba. And he came to see the former president later in the afternoon, and they had a chat. And the issue was that he was going to challenge, this was 2005, he was going to challenge President Mwanawasa, and he says, no, the only reason I'm being chucked out is that I have intention to challenge President Levi Mwanawasa in the 2006 MMD party convention. And that's why I'm being victimized. These stories about Congo is not about that and that. So why did he come to Frederick Chiluba? Chiluba was being persecuted. He was under such oppression from Levi Mwanawasa. But he had such wide support, both in the PF and in the MMD. So that's why Nevas Mumba came. And President Frederick Chiluba just gave him one advice. One day is a long time in politics. This is 2005. If you're Mwalanda wa Nevas Mumba, but you want to challenge President Levi Mwanawasa, I should be the first and the last person you should tell. I should be the first and last person you should tell. Do not announce. It's too early for you. Announce probably a month before. During this time, continue to build your base, continue to reach out, continue to mobilize resources, because what you want to do is a mammoth task. So when Nevas Mumba went, the president know him very well. They knew each other from Mundola, and you know, Nevas Mumba used to lead a respectable ministry at the time before he went into these politics. But the President Chiluba was very worried. But why I don't know if he is, because his problem is the last person that advises him is the only person he listens to. So paronefe tulande, you know, but that's what I've advised him. And 2 days later, Nevas Mumba at the press conference, he was announcing, I have consulted the two former presidents. I am going to challenge President Levi Mwanawasa at the convention in 2006. But Chiluba told him that if you announce within a month you'll be expelled as MMD, and therefore you will not even challenge Levi Mwanawasa at the 2006 elections. So do not announce a month before, because we want to take it away. He has frustrated me, he has humiliated my supporters, and take it away. Even if he's incumbent, to lose some elections earlier. 2 days later, when Nevers at the press conference announcing he was going to challenge Levi Mwanawasa, and like Dr. Chiluba predicted, the man was fired, expelled from MMD within 1 month. So, Umufiashi has fallen from grace from a celebrated man of God who was in the prophecy, from David Livingstone, to what happens in 1964, to Zambia shall be saved, his ministry in the 80s. All that is in the prophecy, to Frederick Chiluba declaring Zambia as our nation. He's in that prophecy, Nevers Mumba. And he probably is a president who will never have. Fifumino, Fingidiroku, Fiafuminoko. And he can't receive any advice. And the last few years, his opportunistic nature, he has just become a hate figure. Now, I'm comments just because I've revealed these issues. He has become a hate figure. So, Mr. President, Nevers Mumba is useless. He can't broker your peace. Nevers Mumba is the one that should have walked to Brian Mundubile and Makebi. Makebi Zulu was his lawyer when he was charged with that case where they convicted him for stealing $500,000 from Canada. The lawyer was Makebi Zulu. But he in misconduct wakwata. He's useless. He can't be used anywhere. Mwaribe shako mwabatwala ku Zimbabwe crisis. Lelo mwabatwala. He is useless. Of no use. That's what useless means. I'm a diplomat. I shouldn't use those strong words. But he's of no use. Because here he's our former vice president. The vice president, Wo Inonge, is quite aged. Wo Enoch Kavindele also is quite aged. Nevers Mumba is still robust. I think he's 71 now. But he's still energetic. He would have been useful locally and internationally in the absence of the late president, Edgar Lungu. He would have been very useful. We have no former president. There's no Rupia Banda anymore. Abuba Nevers tukwete na moneni. So we can achieve peace, Mr. President. Yes, all of us can speak. If there's something that we all cherish, is our peace and security. But we all have responsibilities and obligations. It's just not Brian Mundubile alone and Makebi Zulu. And by them seeking a petition that you are trying to prevent, they are not being irresponsible. They are not. They are just following constitutional processes. I know you want to establish your legitimacy. I know you flooded ZNBC with congratulatory messages. The congratulatory messages are running up to 29 minutes in the 30 minutes news. You want your legitimacy established, but there are all these issues. But at a level of negotiation, there are a lot of things you're not doing properly. So before you throw the issue to Brian and Makebi Zulu, there are things you need to do. Stop the arbitrary arrest. If I were you, I would do an act of goodwill. Release everyone. Make them report to the police every other day. If you're worried about them, confiscate their passport. But release everyone. We want to call Let me just look for this. Is that a militia leader? We want to call. Is that a militia leader? Tell me if Bishop Trevor Mwamba is a militia leader. Tell me in the comments. If he even has held a gun in his life. Tell me. Tell me if that man would sit in a meeting where they are discussing unconstitutional takeover of our country. Tell me if it's just possible. The one they've charged with treason. Tell me if Bishop Musonda Trevor Selwyn Mwamba can sit in a meeting that's discussing the unconstitutional takeover of our country. Tell me. It's just so sad. This is a bishop of Botswana, respected for many years. All national functions, he was a leading voice, a moral voice for Botswana and the United Kingdom. Today, he's a militia leader. No. He's a man that has served, as team rector of Barking and is an honorary assistant bishop. To date, he's still an honorary bishop in the Diocese of Chelmsford, in England. Today, you, Mr. President, are alleging that he's a militia leader. No, President. No. His life is far bigger than you've reduced him to. That even Hollywood featured him in a movie. Many Zambians don't know that. He was featured in a movie called The Number One Ladies Detective Agency, and he played as a bishop in there. And he's written a beautiful book that sells very well among preachers, called Dancing Sermons, because he's very poetic in the use of his language. I don't know if you've listened to Bishop preach, but he's extremely poetic, the manner. That's why, he calls his sermons as Dancing Sermons, and he's written a book about it. Today, he's rotting. They removed him from Charleston, where they were charged yesterday with treason. They've taken him Kumatero. Arinama junkies, Wakabolala, Imbeba, Fiance. This man of God. No, Mr. President. No, Mr. President. It's just totally unfair what you're doing. Totally unfair. Mtoto Kafoya lies dead. It's not enough that we've lost Mtoto Kafoya. It's not enough that we've lost Mtoto Kafoya. These charges are bogus. The militia story is totally bogus. And like I've said, if you want us to move forward, we accept that the election is stolen, is yours. There are things you need to do. Can George Chisanga sit in a meeting that's discussing unconstitutional takeover of our government? George Chisanga, former last president, a man that has been a conscience of our party in the last 5 years we were in the wilderness. A man that has always preached restraint. When the hotheads in our party wanted to demonstrate, countrywide demonstrations, they wanted to do. This man has always been a restraint. He's been the moral conscience of our party, George Sanga. So today, George Sanga is sitting with a treason charge. No, Vane, no. Okay, we should be opening phone lines very soon to allow you to contribute. This song, just touches your heart, just so raw, it just wrenches your heart, and it's a perfect tribute to the gentle giant, issue-based politician Mtoto Kafoya, who was shot down in cold blood. And it is, sorry, I'm just reading a message. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that message. So I think we've attended to the issue of call and unity of peace and security. Let's go to the other two key issues before I bring in. I've noted a dear brother of mine, Dr. Sampa. Even if he's at work, he says, I'll take a few minutes. He wants to comment. I'll bring him in. But let's attend to the other issues. So before we put to rest Honorable Mtoto Kafoya, I think a post-mortem has been done. You are aware that there was no exchange of fire. He was killed in cold blood. And you are aware, like we discussed this morning, and that's why it's important to follow the programs. We discussed in depth what happened that day at Maina Soko when they brought in Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya, critically ill, critically bleeding. And when he passed on, the attempts to take the body by the same group that had come. And the resistance by the professionals who says we don't do that. You've brought him in this facility, has passed on in this facility. We are signing on his death certificate that he has passed on. You can't take his body. They stood their ground. What they wanted to hide is exactly what the post-mortem will reveal. Like the family expressed concern that when they saw the bodies, why was the head so swollen? If he was just shot, what happened? They need answers. They need answers. And the post-mortem process must be allowed. There were attempts to steal that body. The authorities at Maina Soko stood their ground. And we congratulate them for that. You know, there are times when you think that the whole system is gone, that there's no one operating with a conscience. All of them are either operating from only tribal lenses or partisan lenses. No, we still have professionals that are still standing the ground. Remember when they deregistered the PF and they wanted to make changes? An unknown hero emerged in Tandiwe at the Registrar of Societies who said, no, you don't change, here you don't change the officials at the registrar like that. There has to be process. You have to follow their constitution. An unlikely hero emerged in that process. And there are many heroes even who've emerged. Like in Mazabuka, when they wanted to change the results, those returning officers refused that Gary Nkombo had won elections. The soldiers drew their guns and threatened them that you'll be killed and there'll be nothing. You'll just be thrown away. They'll mourn you for a day and no one will remember who you are. The results were changed in Mazabuka. But there are still unknown heroes standing up to all these illegalities happening. So the family still needs to do the post-mortem and the family has to be allowed to do that. That is why I said the Secretary to Cabinet and his team should be at the funeral. This is a former minister. There will be then the conduit, not Nevas Mumba. There will be the conduit to get the grievances by the family. Then Kangwa can take them to the president. And by the way, then the shuttle begins. You bungle this in the process, you have a prolonged issue like you've had with the late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Just indulge me. Let me attend to the issues. I'm told my link on YouTube is not working. It has just cut. So let me just quickly restore that feed. Just listen to Mtoto Kafwaya. Just take me a minute. I'll be back. I want to brief you what happens to the petition on Monday and the things around the petition. Very important. What happens to... I think the last one is the issue of the petition, and now we are dealing with it. 24th August is the last day on Monday, and I want to come and brief you about that. So don't go away. Just listen to the song as I restore the YouTube link. Thank you very much. For those that are watching us on YouTube, I've seen they've cut the link. We'll resolve it. You know, when you are talking about big things, you're exposing people, big institutions, they're very happy. They know. They just probably flooded my YouTube link with what we call bots by reporting the account that is publishing something that is not correct, and they've cut the live stream. It will take some time. I'll restore it later. So just Kuken is saying Facebook. They don't want the truth. What they are controlling in Zambia, they want to control everywhere else. But awe Baro Media Uma. I've got even another YouTube link that I will quickly join. But just come to Facebook, we discuss. So I was saying that the family will have concerns. Secretary to Cabinet must step in this matter. Whether the family is hostile, they have to be valelosha. But you are the only one that can help resolve the issue between the state and the family and the remains of the late Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya. no one will do it without mwaba nevas mbanabambiwa muleka lifiafi abantu imitima. And there's an election petition due on Monday. The last day is on Monday. There are many emissaries that are telling Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu that they should not proceed with that petition. Lawyers have been arrested. They've been harassed. We saw a report this evening of one of the lawyers, I think, was being persuaded to file in a petition on behalf of citizens. Even they've been threatened. They don't want the petition to go ahead. Again, what Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu are trying to do is something within our democracy, within our constitution. It's not illegal to challenge the president. It's not illegal to question it's not illegal to petition the election results. It's not. It's within our laws. And that's why the law is provided for. So why they are trying to do all this is for you and me. But on Monday, that's the deadline when this matter comes up. So far from the statement that we received from Brian Mundubile is that he's petitioning those results. He has not recanted that word. He has not recanted. He issued 2 statements to demonstrate that he's petitioning these results. And that right, again, is being taken away from Brian Mundubile. He has a right to petition. If the president and his people want to communicate, want to share, want to resolve this matter, they should do it in a proper way. They should send credible emissaries to resolve this matter with Brian Mundubile. But Brian Mundubile has not committed any offense. You plant evidence against him, you criminalize the campaign process, you arrest people, it's all those things that you have to take care of. Is that you've relied on faulty intelligence to come up with these stories, and people are working backwards to deal with, to prove that they were right, that they were militias, when you know that every thread is not true. If you have any questions, you can help me. The last one. The UNRPUP won 60 seats. If you do the calculation, they're entitled to 12 MPs. Already President Hakainde Hichilema is in the process of hijacking this process. Again, these are also points. They are also points to discuss. Why do you want the 12 MPs to come from the UPND? You've taken over NRPUP already. And you expect then Brian just to surrender that, and there is a big issue. He's carrying the burden on behalf of the people of Zambia. There are things that you are doing, Mr. President, and your team that is causing all this. So, ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are open. I'll answer any of your questions, and let me hear from you. I didn't realize you are in the studio. Dr. Sampa, welcome to today's broadcast. Make your comments. I didn't realize you are in the studio. I was looking for you. I didn't see you.
Okay,
make your contribution before I bring in the callers.
Okay, so Ambassador, I wanted to comment on 2 main issues. The number one is the video that I've seen that indeed the government has employed some military personnel around the Constitutional Court. I saw a video where somebody was driving through and they saw those people there. In the area, I had already gotten information that they had planted some people who are supposed to abduct anybody who is going to take the papers of petition to the Constitutional Court, as it were. Now, you tend to wonder, even if you are a dictator, you need to do it in a smart way. How can you be a careless dictator who does everything in broad daylight? People are able to see that you are even failing to perform your dictatorial tendencies with, you are performing them with impunity. Look at what they are doing. They don't even want Mundubile to petition. If they won the election, why would you be worried of Mundubile petitioning? It's because they are very sure that they didn't win the election. Then coming to Nevas Mumba, Ambassador, like you put it, like, how can you say Nevas Mumba? Who respects Nevas Mumba in the country? Everybody knows that those are some of the people who are a disappointment to our society. Nobody wants to listen to such people. So even when they want somebody to be an intermediary between the government and the family, they need to look for people who are respectable, people who people can listen to when they speak. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention is this. I want the Zambians and all the listeners to make sure that they pay attention to what is known as scapegoating. You know, scapegoating is one of the things that the dictators use to try and find a way out of a situation which they have created. So I'll give an example. Idi Amin had a scapegoat of Indians. What he did was, when Idi Amin was a dictator, he noticed that people needed to be given an enemy, and he created that enemy in Indians. So he started telling Indians who were having businesses in Uganda that those Indians were ripping off Uganda. And if most of you have read and heard about what happened to those Indians, he deported almost everyone because he blamed them for the problems that Uganda was facing. Meanwhile, as a dictator, is the one who caused that. It's a playbook of all dictators. If you go to Germany, what Hitler did was that Hitler blamed the Jews. And in the end, he ended up committing the worst massacre on earth. And he did all that to blame other people as a scapegoat. Now, what we are seeing in Zambia, Hakainde is blaming Mundubile and the Tonse Alliance for all the problems that we are facing, including the things that were happening during elections, because he's using them as a scapegoat. Every dictator has got a scapegoat, and that scapegoat is what they use to cover up. But in our case in Zambia, the other thing that this government is using as a dictatorship is that they are also trying to justify aggression. You see, when Hitler wanted to attack Poland, what he did is Hitler sent his own soldiers and then attacked a village which was next to Poland. And when he attacked that village, those people attacked, they wore the clothes for the Polish, and they were speaking Polish. So as a result, people believed that actually the people who attacked, it was Poland. And the next day, Hitler attacked Poland. The same thing Hakainde is doing. They went and attacked a polling station last time. They went and attacked a campaign center in Ndola during elections, and they left capes for Tonse. Meanwhile, what kind of a criminal can leave evidence behind? Because all they wanted was people to blame. And they had to blame the Tonse. The same thing they did. They go and attack Mundubile, and in the end, they come back with guns showing all those weapons that no, it is Mundubile who did this. They go to polling stations. They cause all the anarchy they can cause. But in the end, they will leave evidence looking like it's the Tonse Alliance who did all that. So dictators have got a pattern. And Zambians need to be seeing this pattern which is developing in our country. So what is happening right now is that they will try by all means to paint other people black, because a dictator can't survive on love. A dictator survives on fear and aggression. If a dictator doesn't thrive on fear and aggression, they can easily be toppled. The other thing is dictators are very paranoid. So they are always scared that somebody is plotting something against them. That's why they are dangerous. So Hakainde right now is very dangerous, because anyone who tries to speak against is seen as an enemy. And the only way is to eliminate the enemy. So I would urge the people to be very careful. We are living in very dangerous times. That's why you can even see that now it has become normal to see the military moving around in compounds and all that. And be rest assured, the next 5 years, if Mundubile's petition is not accepted, the next 5 years, you will see more soldiers on the streets, because a dictator knows that they are not accepted by people. They know that they are not loved. So the only way they can manage to control the people is not people's free will of submission. No, they need to coerce the people to submit. And these dictators, they know it. And that's why it's more dangerous, because they know and they understand they are not loved. So when they come at you, they'll come with full force. No wonder I would urge our members and other people to be very careful, and at this time to make sure that you are not careless, because some people you may trust may actually be the ones who are the informants. In a dictatorship, a lot of people try to survive. And when survival skills kick in, people become treacherous. Like we have seen, Zumani Zimba has become treacherous all of a sudden. And this is a person who was supposed to stand by Mundubile up to the last end. But this is a person who was on ZNBC yesterday, and every Zambian knows. When you see a person on ZNBC, they are working with Hakainde. Exactly like that. It is that simple. So this petition must go on. It is the only way. It doesn't matter the outcome, but there will be a record where to start from. That's why they don't want it to go there. And Ambassador, you've been right all along. When you showed the picture of Reverend, how can Reverend Chomba be a militia? But you see, people shouldn't be surprised with that.
Reverend Trevor Mwamba.
Trevor Mwamba, sorry, not Chomba. Trevor Mwamba. So, by Reverend Trevor Mwamba, to be called a militia, people shouldn't be surprised, because when Idi Amin was trying to look for a scapegoat, are you saying the Indians, who were the ones who were providing the economic benefits to Uganda, were the ones causing the sufferings? The answer is no. But still, Idi Amin, as a dictator, had to blame somebody, and that person was the Indians. Even in Germany, it was the same thing. Hitler had to blame someone. So Hakainde, as a dictator, has to blame somebody. Tomorrow it can be you. Today it is Reverend. Tomorrow it can be anybody. That's why we've seen even innocent people losing lives, like Mutotwe Kafuaya. So it is a very dangerous time now in Zambia. And as you said, Ambassador, it is really so wrong, and our people need to open up their eyes. And I'm glad that most of the people are not believing this scapegoating they are doing. Nobody believes it. And you see, in a dictatorship, they also repeat messages, because they understand that the more they repeat those messages, they are indoctrinating people. And you can tell, right now, most of the UPND cadres are indoctrinated. No matter what you tell them, they will still believe what their masters will say. So even now, others believe that, but whenever Reverend you showed, Ambassador, they believe that he was holding that gun. Others believe that even that time Mtoto Kafuaya was killed, there was a shootout, because those people are desensitized and they are indoctrinated. And because now he has started channeling all this into the youths, he's going to students in schools, sponsoring these to my student elections. Now he wants to make sure that it starts from there. And that's what all dictators do. If you read about Hitler and you read about other dictators, they always target the young, and they make sure those young people are indoctrinated, and they continue fighting using the young people. So the young people, I'll just urge the students, you need to be very careful, because the future of Zambia depends on you. And if you look at Zambia, more than 50% of the people are youths. So the youths should not become brainwashed, because this dictatorship is not just going to affect the people who are being shot today. It will affect each and everyone. In a dictatorship, the unfortunate part, Ambassador, is that there is no accountability, because there is absolute power. Look at it this way. You are just from mentioning that all the 60 MPs who are under Tonse will now be under Hakainde. So that parliament will not have opposition. So there is absolute power. Whatever he wants will go. Whatever he wants to do is what is going to happen, which is unacceptable. But let's remember, it's not like other presidents did not have the same power and they couldn't have done what they would have done. The thing is that they merely respected the constitution and they appreciated the Zambian people. That's how come we've reached this far. But the only way to get out of a dictatorship, it starts with you and I. We need to speak out against it. We always need to resist dictatorship, because what country do we want to live for our children? We can't live a country of dictatorship to our children. Otherwise, we will have no Zambia. So I urge everyone to stand together. Let's support Mundubile. Let's support these people. I was impressed, Ambassador, yesterday. I saw Kalaba visiting Mutoti Kafuaya's house, and I expect that now he's supposed to do more. All these politicians, they need to do more. When your friend is being persecuted, you cannot sit behind and watch. You are supposed to come out. That's leadership. A leader is supposed to come out and speak when there is injustice. Because if they are quiet, unless they are happy with what is happening to their friend, but you have to wait until it is on you, the answer is no. It is time for Zambians to unite, because there is one common misnomer in our country. which this anomaly must be removed, and which is a dictatorship. Zambia has always stood as a beacon of peace. And people should not be discouraged. I'll repeat this. People should not be discouraged when they hear that there are a lot of other countries who are trying to congratulate him. You see, that doesn't matter. The people who are feeling the heaviness of the sort, it's you, the Zambian people. The other people don't know and they don't care. So if you, the Zambians, keep quiet, nothing will happen. Even the same people who are supporting the dictatorship, they will be part of the suffering. Because, to start with, there will be no building of those international airports you were lied to. Nothing of the employment of all those more than 10,000 you've seen who he has been mentioning on all the rallies. Nothing will happen, and you can't question. Because if you question, you are opposition. So Zambians need to open up their eyes and they need to pay attention. You listen. It is what you are seeing Ambassador Mwamba doing and all of us. It's not because we just want to talk, but we love our country. It's patriotism. If you are patriotic to the country and you see the wrong direction it's going, people like Ambassador have sacrificed too much. They are even outside the country. Just for one reason. Ambassador Mwamba can't suffer. He can't suffer. He has worked. But if, because of the love he has for the country, he's here still working hard to try and speak for the people. I urge every Zambian to stand up and make sure that you speak against this injustice, and let's report. One way you can do this, if you see something happening, you can always, you always see the number for Ambassador Mwamba. You can reach out. You reach out, you tell him, and you say, you try to find other people, he will help you, and he will link you to other people, and you will find a way to bring out whatever is there. Ambassador, I end here.
Thank you, Dr. Brian Sampan. Thank you. We missed you at breakfast this morning. All of you went, oh, you just left me alone. But it was a wonderful breakfast. We had a wonderful interaction. Speak to this issue. Many people are saying Brian Mundubile should concede. They are saying that he should not file the petition in court. What is your view? Oh, has Dr. Sampa gone? Oh, just a minute, just a minute. It looks like he has logged off. He has logged off. Let me see what I can do quickly. Because he's at work and he just came to make this contribution.
We understand they went through temptations, a lot of temptations, and they withstood these temptations. Money, other things here. But they understood why they're on the Constitutional Court. Because judiciary, the courts must be the place of last recourse, where we go to seek justice. Injustices are done every day in our elections. We know it here in Zambia. 2015, 2016, we know it. But in 2016, our matter was not even heard. Yet the Bill of Rights is clear that if a citizen is aggrieved about anything, they have a right to go to court. And any court of competent jurisdiction has an obligation to hear that. It didn't happen in this country. That's happened in Malawi. We're so proud of that Malawi Constitutional Court bench. I hope we can all learn something from that ruling, that you cannot continue cheating the people, the very people that gave you an opportunity to save them, especially in those roles. So congratulations to the opposition in Malawi, and one other thing we learned from Malawi is that they came together. The opposition came together. Here we have some oppositions that are surrogates of the ruling party who are used to abuse fellow opposition. But there, Dr. Chakwera, Dr. Silas Chidima, and others came together for a joint petition to save the people of Malawi. It's another lesson that we Zambians must learn. But more important, it's a Malawian citizen, the Malawian voter who did not allow their vote to be manipulated. When their vote was manipulated, they showed it. They went in the streets to express their displeasure on how somebody had stolen their votes. They did it for months on end. It encouraged the judiciary. So you can see the point here.
Hello, caller. Let us open, callers, let us open the phone lines. It's your time to contribute. It's Saturday. Let's not keep you long. So make your phone call just now. Make your phone calls just now. Let's begin the program. Make your contributions. The phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. Make your calls right now. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello.
Yes, caller.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Nebo Mtale. Ambassador, first and foremost, you know, when you're on break, I'm kindly asking if you may politely use another video to, when you're on break, to entertain us or to listen to this video to really. Like, some of us will feel like we were coming blind just to see it because I can't even hear what he's saying. Anyway, Ambassador, Zumani, where did Zumani come from? Zumani, when Kaiser Zulu was when he was fired, nobody knew where Zumani was or who he was. I stand to be corrected. If somebody can tell me Zumani was a politician and was doing ABCD, all I know is that he was at UNZA, he was at one time writing some articles against PF. He was more of UPND together with Savoy. So now Zumani is the Secretary General of the largest opposition party in Zambia. And just after losing, when people are still mourning, they're still crying, when he was supposed to be crying loudest, Zumani comes out very strong and he has already healed. He's talking about unity. When the report comes and says Zumani is on a payroll of OP, people say no, it was a lie. So if you can look at the track of Zumani, how Zumani has been trading from when President ECL lost an election, he was quick to say ECL lost the election by himself, and he further on and posted certain things. Okay, so this is. Zumani is an agent of the government in opposition, and it's sad that people did not take things seriously, more especially the leadership. It's very, very sad. So the issue of petition, I think your ambassador just asked Dr. Sampa that many people are saying that Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu, they should not go ahead and petition. Who are those many people? Because in my understanding, many people are Zambians. These are the people that went and supported all these, the crying, the rigging. Those are the people that wanted Mundubile to become their president, their leader. So, in my opinion, let the petition go. Let the UPND and his team defend themselves in the court of law, because the court of law should be independent and they'll look at all those things. I know maybe things may not turn out positively, but to be honest, let's go and expose who they are. And therefore, Ambassador, I still call upon the United Nations, I still call upon EU, I still call upon United States, that this president called HH, as idiotic as he is a project of United States. This president was imposed on Zambians. We know how the Americans, they supported him, how Joe Biden really gave him the support, and that's how we ended up with this fool in State House. Ambassador, we cannot allow this kind of indiscipline of the UPND to go on. If you remember, this Tabokawana went and started mocking about the shooting of Honorable Mtoto Kafwai. Ambassador, it's not the first time. If it was me, if this government is real in offering governance, first and foremost, what the chief spokesperson, who's permanent secretary, Kawano, could have actually said, indeed, they could have accepted immediately and make an apology to the family. Like there was ABCD, and along the way, former minister was shot at, and we sincere apology. Trust me, this thing could have died. But if you look at their trend, how these fools in government, how Kadarism has gone, they think they are opposition, and yet they are in government. So they are not offering any governance whatsoever.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
I'll remain anonymous, Honorable Mwamba, Ambassador Mwamba.
Thank you.
Yeah, I actually want to support the petition. Because if we don't petition the results, it may become a norm, to become normal. And then we are going to destroy our constitution. And the many Zambians will suffer. Let the petition go on so that the results are scrutinized and determine who lost and who won. In fact, the best would be to just clarify so that we don't have those exposures, so that we can vote again. That's my take, Mwamba. Thank you so much.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Good evening, Emmanuel.
Good evening.
I would love to
Yes, make your contribution.
Yes, my concern is my contribution, should I say, is those of you who have connection with international community, I think the way things are in Zambia, we need the help from the international community because it is clear that the president Ichilema is determined to disregard the law because it has saddened me to see that even the court is besieged with the military personnel. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Okay, I will remain my name anonymous, but name Mwanga.
Thank you. Thank you, Anonymous Mwanga. Make your contribution.
Yes. Two things, I'll be very quick. I think the previous caller, not this previous, the other one did say that when break, don't play that video. ERIHH. I love that video because it's actually speaking of him talking about the right to petition when elections have been stolen. Now that tells you that we have a two-faced person. The one who was actually speaking that is a different one that we have in State House now. And it tells you that the man can lie and doesn't listen to himself. And he really lied. That is one. Then secondly, I want to encourage Zambians to understand one thing, which people in power, normally they don't use their brains. They don't think. Even when they know the constitution, they don't. They use the power that they are in. But one encouragement, we have seen dictators in this world. And HH should understand, today in power, he's not saying it. I'll give him two people, which Zambians we need to really look forward to. We are the mighty Saddam Hussein. When his time came after he had killed people, he had done what? We had another one called Muammar Gaddafi. When his time came, so all these people, his time will come because people don't just get killed like this. They just don't steal with impunity like this. But now that he's in power, the seat of power, he's not listening. But I can encourage Zambians. His time of reckoning will come and it won't be long. That's all I can say.
Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you, Anonymous, for that contribution. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I don't know what time it is where you are, Ambassador.
Tell us your time. You greet me from your time.
All right. Okay, thanks. Sir, I want to quickly talk about people that are calling for reconciliation and all that.
attempt the reconciliation, in my own view, that's with the president himself. If he has got that confidence that he won the election, let him go off this election and we go for fresh election. That way he will prove himself that he did. Otherwise, this nonsense that has happened in Uganda, it can end up, and anybody who is sympathizing with the criminals that are in government is not a Zambian. Good night.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
My name is Anonymous. Good evening, Honorable
Good evening.
Mwamba. Just a quick one again. I feel that the petition should continue and we shouldn't relent, because already we have lived with him. We know who he is with his life. We are experiencing the same lives even in the present time. So we already can read the future, what the future will bring. So leaving this to him, it will be hell. Better the petition continues, and we have to make sure that on Monday it pulls. Please, Bamwamba, you are connected, even with the international community. Please, if it doesn't pull through, try by all means that it pulls through. And that is a record for us, even though it is not going to go well, as everything is now manipulated, as he is dictating every area of our lives in Zambia, where we cannot run anywhere. So the best thing to do is just to make sure that it goes through, it goes, the petition goes. That is what we want. Otherwise, reading who he is as this man, as he is, we know the future will be terrible. It will be just like Mussolini or maybe Hitler. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
I would like to remain anonymous. I'm calling from Kitwe.
Make your contribution.
But the petition is a non-negotiable issue. Petition should go ahead. Ngachashupa sana. Nefobele tupatu pera mapepara tuatu arapai koti para pene pare. Pani foto lero loko for president. President inani. Uyo president papunda waba isi that. Yo to vote. Iwe vote na vote na ba PM. Ba pero muntu onsha vote. So ngachashupa sana ila jira petition. Nefobele matu pera mapepara tuatu arefobele pai koti. Na totira mkwai.
Pai koti pari amasoja mukaya pamande mukaya join pamande. He's gone. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make a contribution.
Good evening, Ambassador. I'll remain anonymous for now. Ambassador, like any other caller, I think we need this petition must be done. But of course, I heard some surrogates saying that even if you do petition, but that does not go, that does not stop the inauguration. That's their understanding.
Oh, I'll speak to the issue of the inauguration. I forgot to mention. I've got latest information about the inauguration. It might take place towards the end of the month.
Okay, so that's good. But the petition, Ambassador, must go on. You know, like I said the other day, you see, even in football, when someone scores a compromise score, the referee and the helping referees, they didn't see the angle at which he scored. They always refer to that TV they call VAR. And so in this case, is our VAR is the constitutional court that can look into these things. The evidences, Ambassador, are too overwhelming. European Union, they've been sponsoring elections and they've been monitoring elections. For them to, spot some errors into the electoral process of our country cannot go just like that. The African Union, EU, SADC, all those people, Law Association of Zambia, other organizations, the evidence is there, and those people can be called as witnesses. These things, this petition must go on, Ambassador. Let's not fear. Of course, there is this fear of the army. The army are planted everywhere, but I think the petition must go on. This petition can be filed by even organizations, law association, the church organization, CSOs. They can file this petition on behalf of the people of Zambia and let the people know the truth. The Bible says you shall know the truth and the truth will set you free. And then also I'm appealing to the government to arrest Mr. Zumanzimba and the other one, the president of the militia, Mr. Tembo. If they are really truthful in whatever they are doing, because you cannot arrest someone who did not start the militia group. So this, I think they should arrest those people as well, so that if they are doing the right thing, we'll see if they will arrest them. But I know that some people have been compromised, and that's why we are seeing this selective justice in our country, which is not good.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
I would like to remain anonymous. Ambassador, when people go for election and the other party is not happy with the results, it is only normal for the people who are not agreeing with the results to go to the courts of law so that justice can prevail. If really they are not happy with the results, it's better they go to the courts of law. That will be the best way that this thing can be handled. So I'm also in support that it's better the petition is done. Otherwise, we will not be doing ourselves justice if we don't go to the courts of law, Ambassador. Then maybe on the video which you are playing, where the president the HH was talking about the petition in your election and whatever, I would also encourage you to play it even louder. It's not very clear. When you're playing that video, it's very low. It's very difficult to hear what he was saying. So I'll just encourage you to play it a bit louder. Okay. If you are to play it, yes.
Okay.
So, thank you, Ambassador.
Yes, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, Matilda.
Make your contribution, my dear sister.
Petition if we it has to go ahead. And then in my questions are ba President the HH. Mr. President, how many innocent Zambians must be lost before our leaders finally say enough is enough? When a Zambian mother loses a son who is supposed to come forward, when she believes the state failed to protect him, Mr. President, do the tears of poor Zambians' families reach the State House, or have we become numbers on a government report? How can a mother sleep peacefully when her child is in prison and she does not know what tomorrow will bring? Why should an innocent Zambian fear the very government that was elected to protect them? Mr. President, if someone is accused of crime, why can they not be given justice through a fair and transparent process? Why are there continuing concerns about arrest and detention of opposition figures, including the recent post-election arrest? Mr. President, sir, what would you say if it were your own child sitting in the prison cell waiting for justice? How can Zambia call itself a democracy if its citizens are afraid to speak freely against those in power? Why must political disagreements sometimes feel like a battle for survival? Mr. President, do you remember what it felt like when you were imprisoned? You were imprisoned because of a crime. But don't let Zambians pay for what they never did. If you remember the pain of being behind bars, why should anyone Zambian be left there without their rights being respected. Who will answer forever for every innocent person who dies while the nation is still searching for the truth? Mr. President, regarding the recent death during our recent who was shot, Brian Mundubile, and then the injustice, how do you feel seeing someone bleeding and then you keep on pretending with a fake smile, saying that no, he has not been shot, he's okay, knowing deeply that their lives lost? Mr. President, have a heart. Zambia, we all love one Zambia. Why should family have to bury their loved ones while politicians argue about who is responsible? Who is protecting the poor Zambian when powerful people are accused of taking advantage of country resources? Where is copper wealth going, and how much is of it actually reaching original Zambians? Why does a country so rich in copper still have families struggling to put food on the table? Who is becoming rich from Zambians' minerals? Well, mining communities remain poor. If Zambia's copper belongs to Zambians, why should Zambians be poor, Mr. President, but only foreigners? Mr. President, I'm asking these questions. I'm bleeding in my heart, knowing that my fellow Zambians are crying. Who is responsible for protecting our mukula trees for illegal exploitation, and where does the money from those resources go? How many forests must disappear before we admit that our natural heritage is being destroyed? When our copper, gold, and forests are gone, what will we leave for our children? Me, as I'm talking to, the person who's talking here, I'm a mother, and I know how it feels. Why should future generation inherit empty mines and damages forests instead of properties? Can you honestly look a poor family in their eyes and tell them that Zambia's natural wealth is working for them? Why are original Zambians asked to sacrifice and be in patience while the world's powerful people appeal to live comfortably? Resources. Mr. President, kindly answer me. I cry as a Zambian citizen. Will you guarantee that every Zambian accused of a crime like Chester and others who have been arrested for no reasons, politicals were there, like Keke was there, he accepted the defeat, but he never held on to the power? Will you investigate every irregular allegation of unlawful killing, torture, abuse by security forces, even when the allegation involved people connected to your government? What would you tell the mother who cries every night because her son is behind the bars, believes he has been forgotten? What would you tell widow who has lost her husband, still does not have answers about his death? He was not sick, but because of having a meeting with our President Mundubile, and you had to end his life. Mr. President, hear me loud and clear. I ask these questions with pain and I cry. Did you enter in politics to inherit Zambia's problems, or to make sure our children never have to suffer the pain? Mr. President, I'm trying to be strong. When you leave office one day, what do you want the poor Zambians to remember you about your leadership, the promises or the lives and families you have actually killed? Mr. President, if you could sit alone tonight with every grieving mother, every unemployed young person, every prisoner who says they are innocent, and every Zambian who feel robbed of their country's wealth, What would you honestly say to them? Mr. President, answer me with due respect. I'm Chembe, Lamba by tribe, Joakundo line, and I ask these questions with pain. I'm crying and I demand the answers from you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Emotional, my dear sister, emotional. And these questions must be answered.
I demand the answers.
Hello, caller. Please make your contribution.
Thank you very much. Emotional, my dear sister. Emotional.
Yes, hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
This is Miriam Tengo. I'm calling from Lusaka.
Yes.
Yes, Ramamba. I am just so grieved about what is happening in the country. People are living in fear. Even when you comment, shape a Facebook, when you make a comment, even when you are not insulting, but if you are just commenting against the government, you are just saying about what they are doing to the people. The messages you know, there is so much fear in the people. HH has put so much fear in the Zambians. This is not the kind of Zambia that we want, Ramwamba. We regret putting this president in that state house. This is the biggest mistake that the Zambians have made. I don't know whether it is possible to submit your petition online, whether it is possible to do that. I think Mundubile doesn't really have to go there himself. If there's somebody else who can submit the petition, let them submit the petition. Otherwise, we don't want this man. If possible, please, let us go for a rerun. This man has really troubled us, the Zambians. We don't want him. Why is he forcing himself on us? Tatule mufwaya aleya. We don't want. He's making us say all the bad things. He's making people misbehave, say all the bad things. And you blame them. But when people have told you, how else should Zambians say we don't want you? It is through the ballot. That's the only way they can express themselves. Now they tell you they don't want you. You force yourself on them. You kill them. You beat them. What? Did he come to revenge? All he has done since he came into power is fight the opposition, fight the PF. After fighting PF, now he is fighting Mundubile. What kind of a president is this one who came into power to fight? He's a person, HH has no heart for the Zambians. Mr. Lungu might have made his own mistakes, but Lungu loved the Zambians. HH takwa domutima. This man does not have a heart. Everywhere, people are not happy. In education, people are not happy. In health, people are not happy. In office of the president, people are not happy. So who is he leading? Somehow he's afraid to come out of power because he knows he's made a lot of mistakes. But it is better he goes now. We just wish him bad luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's continue to take your calls and your views. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. This is Mwansa, and I'm calling from Kitwe. First of all, I would just like, if possible, if you can pass this message on to President Mundubile and President Makebi that there are people who are behind them and we haven't forgotten them. We are praying for them and we are rallying behind them even as they file this petition. My only request is help us make sure that this petition goes through. We are really, really hoping that this petition can go through, and we are hoping for the best. Then the second thing I would like to say is, I don't know, but being here in Zambia and also having relatives who are supporters of the UPND government, you can tell that we have a lot of people who I don't know, they are in some kind of hero worship, that whatever the president says is true, even when the facts are plain, even when it is easy to see what is going on, the injustices that are going on. But because of this hero worship and every word that comes from the mouth of the president is law and truth, you find that people still believe that President Mundubile is leading a militia group. in this nation. So it's really sad that we have citizens who can't see the truth despite the truth being so plain. But otherwise, what I would like to say is that with the President Mundubile is not forgotten. He has people who are praying for him. We are really praying for him, and we are rallying behind him, and we hope this petition can go through and just allow them, democracy to prevail. Thank you very much, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Continue to call before we begin to consider to close down. Quickly make your calls. Quickly make your calls. Quickly make your calls. Oh, Dr. Sampa is here. We can utilize his presence. Yama, finish your thoughts. It's good you are back.
Ambassador, my apologies. It's very hot here, so the phone got so hot and it switched off. So the other thing to mention, Ambassador, is that after listening to what they're saying, you can see the discontent in the people. And if indeed Hakainde Hichilema won this election, why can't he just challenge everyone by going for a rerun? He doesn't even need to wait for the courts to declare. Let us go for a rerun and let him allow Mundubile to contest so that we see for sure who the people chose without the military. Because I can tell you that, like the previous caller mentioned, that there is hero worshipping. You see, I want to remind our previous caller that we talked about this last time. In dictatorship, they create a personality cult. And the personality cult is also enforced by propaganda. So they say in Zambia, no, Hakainde ni bossy, it's only Hakainde who can do this and that. And they believe that there is no one in Zambia who is better than Hakainde. So in a dictatorship, they need to create this infallible person who everybody should look up to, and whatever they say is word and truth. So when he goes and says, oh, now I'm not even going to be feeling pity because I used to feel pity in the past. Now I even be closing down political parties. The followers, all they do is repeat the same sentence. They say, go hard, you were humble, now show them. That is how bad things are. So they say you can't preach to the converted. So don't waste time trying to convert those people. The truth is, if the people who support Hakainde are more than those who don't support him, he wouldn't be using force right now. Because the sentiment would have been a positive one for him. But because more people are opposed to him,
we've lost Dr. Sampa again. Callers, I've got a caller here. Caller, make your contribution.
Yeah, I just want to add my voice, Anonymous from Osaka.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Very well.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So, if President HH won this election, he should be sober the way Edgar Lungu was when he petitioned. Edgar Lungu did not intimidate anyone. He let the court hear his case. Unfortunately, he filed in out of time. That's why his court case was not heard. So why is he putting the soldiers? You know? Why is he putting the soldiers? Why should the army come and control the courts? He shouldn't do that. Please, we don't want him. Let him go. We don't want him. If he's hearing this message, he should know that we do not want him. Please, just go in peace. Everybody is hating. All the people are complaining about the bad feeling that we have. Wherever you go, people are so sad, heartbroken. So if he genuinely won those elections, he should, listen to the feelings of the people. I'm sure he's listening. His people are listening. Please, just go. Thank you so much, Ramanda.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Hello, caller.
Okay.
Yes, caller.
Yes, I just have a question now. The thing is, should we have this petition go through and then we have a rerun? Are we going to have the same panel from ECZ to handle the elections, or even those will be changed as well?
There is a history in Malawi where the ECZ chair, where the election management body's chair was removed and the neutral person was chosen. You can request that in the court process if that were to be possible. Dr. Sampa is here. Let me just go to him once again. Masampa.
Ambassador. Yeah. So, like I was saying, Ambassador, the thing is that when you look at what is happening right now, like the previous caller said, what is happening is that most of the people are not agreeing with Hakainde because they didn't vote for him, and you can't impose yourself on the people. And that's the reason why, even as we speak, he is not comfortable with Mundubile going to court. One reason is simple. Most of the people are wondering why. The reason is very simple. You know, these judges know, and Hakainde knows, that these judges are unpredictable. The judges may just have this normal feeling of, let me just be fair. They are humans. Yes, they are UPND, but some of them, even if they are UPND, there is just time when there is too much evidence that as a judge, you are going to dent your image. So how much are judges willing to lose just to cover for Hakainde? And remember, everyone who is watching, including the international community, all these organizations, the UN and everyone who is watching this, they know that they want to see what the courts will do about this. And once this case goes into the courts, Hakainde has got no power as much. Yes, he will have power over which judge, but the issue will be the judge will be an independent person who can flip, even if he was appointed or she was appointed by Hakainde. So he doesn't want any unnecessary, risks. That's why he couldn't even allow Mundubile to win. Hakainde does not want any risk of another person taking power. So he can't have free and fair elections. So the good thing is that Mundubile doesn't have to be present when they are filing in. That's what our listeners need to know. He doesn't have to be present. So Mundubile can still be wherever he is very safe, whilst the lawyers can go there and file. Now, with the military there, again, it will be very interesting to see how it will play out, because we will see a lot of things. Unfortunately, with Hakainde, this is what I keep telling people. With him, don't say, no, he can't do this, no, he can't do that. He can even arrest them in broad daylight. So they need to play the cards very well to ensure that I tried to look up Ambassador to see if at all the UN can actually intervene or they can provide security. Actually, what I got was that the UN can come in between the two parties, which is the government and Mundubile, to try and liaise with them and to some extent try to provide some cover as they go and file in. Because this is provided for, especially the fact that Mundubile is under their care. So if the UN can help and other organizations, that will be very helpful. Because the issue with our organizations in Zambia, Ambassador, most of them are UPND, and they were UPND for a long time. I concur with one caller who mentioned Ambassador, this caller who was talking about Zumanzimba said that, Zumanzimba was nowhere to be seen until after, ECL fired the advisor and then decided to bring him in. But if you recall, who were following what Zumanzimba was doing earlier, Zumanzimba was a critic, an armchair critic of ECL. Now, the difference between ECL and Hakainde is that ECL, as an educated person with a good heart, he understood that politics are not personal. So, because Zumanzimba used to criticize ECL decided to bring in Zumanzimba and see, maybe he liked some of the things he was criticizing, so he just hired a person he thought was a good person who had the necessary qualifications. This is a guy who was a University of Zambia scholar and who understood political science. So Lungu was a very mature man, both as a mere human being and as a president. So ECL didn't take it personal. And that is one thing that made me respect him more, because he had to get a critic and make them an advisor, which is very good. Now, did Zumanzimba turn out to be an advisor he was? I think from what we have seen, Ambassador, I'll be very categorical. I am one of the people during before the 2021 elections who was very critical of the Patriotic Front. Ambassador, these organizations, when I met them, most of them, 90% of them, they were looking like they were they were mature, they understood what was right and wrong. But what I came to learn after the elections was that they were merely UPND stooges. UPND was working with organizations to paint PF black. So immediate UPND won elections, they now became full-blown UPND, including some of the organizations right now who are trying to come out like they are condemning. But in the actual sense, they are still UPND. And the same thing can be said about Zumanzimba. I concur with the previous scholar. Zumanzimba, because he was a critic, ECL thought it was a neutral scholar. But in reality, from what we have seen, this is a man who might have been working with the UPND even from the word go. So when ECL lost, how can you, who was advising someone, come and say ECL lost on his own? And indeed, ECL was really a good man. That man suffered both in death and even when he was alive. How can these people have no heart? Look at Zumanzimba. After betraying ECL, still ECL forgave him. You look at what he has done to Mundubile. He has again betrayed Mundubile. Even goes as far as going on ZMBC. Ambassador, are you aware that yesterday, I'm sure you are aware, but to our listeners need to know that the entire Tonse are with Mundubile, 3/4 of them in the Council of Leaders. But this Zumanzimba was telling people that if we file, we are going to anger Hakainde. I'm saying this because he has now come in the open. It was said in the meeting. People were like, why would you be worried about angering Hakainde? That no, he's going to get upset. And then the next thing he goes on ZMBC and says, oh, according to the political science I've studied, this is going to be political confrontation. No, this is political hypocrisy. Because what he is doing is that he knows where he stands. And he wants to use jargons to try and explain to unsuspecting people why he's doing what he's doing. How do you explain somebody stealing elections in broad daylight and then you let go at the expediency of your own safety? That means you don't care about the country. I want our listeners to recall what happened in South Korea. The president merely called for, there were people who were protesting, and the president decided to declare a state of emergency. It didn't even last. Where is that president today? They had to make the president as an example. That's why in Zambia, we need to make Hakainde as an example. I can assure you, if we don't handle this very well and we let it slip, next time it will be worse than what we are seeing. If Mutotwe Kafwaya can die today for doing nothing, and they start giving them false accusations, and Mundubile can run away and start seeking merely for being an opposition leader, I can tell you next time they will be shooting opposition leaders. They are just walking, you stand, they kill you. Like this other caller who said, people are so afraid. Hakainde is slowly achieving what dictators manage to achieve, which is instill fear. Because once you instill fear, now people will learn that when you are against the government or when you start resistance, you will be killed, or they are going to come after you in a hard way. And when people are scared, that means the dictator starts winning, because now they will be humble and listening and following to what the dictator is saying, regardless of whether it is right or wrong. But we shouldn't allow this. And Mundubile must go ahead with this petition. It is our only chance. It is a chance that is going to liberate Zambia. And we all know that once this petition goes through, just the petition going through on its own will be a plus, and we will need to celebrate that. Because Hakainde doesn't want it to go. He doesn't want it to be there. So once we manage this, and I have got word that for sure this will happen, and it will happen at an expected time. But people should just pray that this happens, and we all are holding our hands together.
Thank you. Let me take some calls. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution. Hello, caller.
Hello, Mama.
Endita.
Okay. All right, Mama. Yeah, I think the main concern here is the petition. I also support it so much, Mama. You know, Mama, I just want to say one thing which is very, very important. And I'm going to ask you a question. What is the purpose of living? Mama, what's the purpose of living? You and I, yeah, with so many people are suffering a lot. Hello?
We can hear you, Mama. Continue. Oh, she thought she was not being heard. Hello? Okay. We lost them. Doc, any contribution?
Ambassador, before it cut, I remember you wanted me to comment on something. I'm wondering what it was before I can comment on other things. Because before the call cut earlier,
Doc, there was a question I asked whether Mundubile should yield to this request of abandoning his election petition and conceding defeat. And that's been the pressure you were saying has been put on him.
Ambassador, I want to say this directly to Mundubile. If Mundubile yields to this pressure, it will be betrayal of the highest order to the Zambian people. I can tell you that Mundubile already has, and it will be betrayal to Mutotwe Kafwaya. Then Mutotwe Kafwaya would have died for nothing. Mutotwe Kafwaya lost his life. And then Mundubile decides to reason with the same killers of Mutotwe Kafwaya. That will be the worst betrayal, and I can tell you that is political suicide. It will be the end of Mundubile's party, it will be the end of Mundubile's political career. Because Hakainde doesn't want to make peace with Mundubile. Hakainde wants Mundubile to capitulate. And immediately Mundubile does that, it's the end. And again, it will be a betrayal on the Zambia as a state, because there will be no freedom in Zambia. Mundubile will not be different from people like the same Zumanzimba. If he capitulates, Mundubile should not make that mistake, Ambassador. Once he capitulates, I can tell you, we are not going to complain about Zumanzimba. Then Zumanzimba would have been right. Every other person who has betrayed him would have been right. All these presidents, funny presidents like Tembo and the other ones who are running around like headless chickens going to Hakainde would have been right. So Mundubile should not fall prey to this. Let Hakainde fight it and be the reason it doesn't go through, but not Mundubile capitulating. And anyone who is following Mundubile to even advise him doesn't love him if they are saying that he should capitulate. Because Mundubile didn't start this fight as an individual, and he didn't start this fight because he wanted personal gain. Look, Mundubile has been an MP for 10 years. He has got enough to live for, and he doesn't even need any financial help. Mundubile was doing this Zambia. As for Zambia, is the love that he should use now to fight for this country. So, Ambassador, that question which you've asked, the answer is no. Mundubile should not capitulate. Instead, Mundubile should move forward. He should go ahead. We are not even supposed to be discussing this. It is a straightforward thing. Elections were stolen. Mundubile declared. Mundubile is not Hakainde who is a liar. Mundubile said, I am going to make sure I petition. He even said, we are going to use legal means because he doesn't want to use violence. So, if Mundubile today changes his mind, then Hakainde and Mundubile will be the same. They will become liars. So Mundubile should never do that or think of even stopping. He is supposed to go ahead with the petition, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. We'll be coming to the end of the program. It's been a marathon from morning. We had our morning show, and now we have this evening show. Thank you for your support. We are tracking the issues around the elections, election petition. We are pursuing this matter. We'll discuss it at breakfast tomorrow. That the soldiers have surrounded the Supreme Court grounds where the registry for filing of nominations to the Constitutional Court and Supreme Court are. So we will follow up with people that have videos. Kindly send us. If you're passing through the High Court, get a slow videos and send it to us so that we can show our people what is happening. There was an issue of inauguration, that there will be an inauguration on Monday. I have followed up this matter with my connections from both foreign affairs and other countries where you send invitations. It appears that the inauguration will be on 1st September. And this is what is legal. You have to allow for the 14 days to lapse in which the Constitutional Court is supposed to resolve the issues, legal issues that may arise. So the president will be sworn in on 1st September. And these are the plans of President Hakainde Hichilema. If it was Brian Mundubile, we don't know what his plans would be and the date that he would pick. Will the petition be filed? With all these frustrations, let's discuss it tomorrow. God bless you and shalom, shalom.